Hi everybody, welcome back. I hope you're all doing well. So in today's video.
So I was speaking with a girlfriend the other day about divorce, and she was asking me, when was one of the first signs that I knew something was wrong with my marriage?
Yeah. A lot of ladies shared their experiences and when they knew that their relationships / marriages were over. Okay. To be honest, I am not feeling too good. I really need to close my eyes and sleep. Bear with me. Let's get into the stories and leave your own thoughts and opinions in the comment section. When did you realize that it was time to end that relationship, that marriage, to get that divorce, to be separated, to leave? When was it for you? When was that moment? If you've ever been in this situation, let us know in the comment section. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be talking after each video as I go, sharing my opinions as we go, right? You can skip and watch the next video if you just want to watch the stories. All right, so let's get into it.
How long did it take me to leave my husband? It took me about 4 years, and I'm still getting the paperwork. It took me about 4 years to leave him, but it was probably something petty when I finally did leave him, when we all went to a concert and Miss Erykah Badu was on stage and she asked the people to stand up if they're in there with their lover. And this person, my husband, sat down. That's why I knew I had to leave that ass. Wait a minute. We was in Lover's Lane, baby. Like we was around all the couples. Everybody was coupled up. It was honestly a beautiful experience. Just seeing all the black beautiful couples. So we was in the House of Love when he didn't stand up, and that's when he lost me.
Yeah. Can you imagine that, being at a concert where there are so many people with their partners and your husband is still in the chair? I mean, yeah, he said it without saying anything. You understand? So I'm glad she got the message and she didn't waste her time. Next.
And I have this memory so heavily imprinted on my brain. I can still feel it to this day, and it sounds so weird. It was the middle of the night. We were both asleep. And in the middle of the night, my ex, while he was asleep, grabbed me from behind for a spoon hug in bed. It was like one of those really good big bear hugs in bed. And that sent me like electricity through my body. I have never in that marriage experienced such joy than when he hugged me in that moment. And he was asleep and he wasn't doing it intentionally. And that joy and elation carried me through the week. I was walking on cloud 9 because of that hug. And I kept thinking about it, and I started thinking, like, in hindsight, obviously, why am I so excited about a simple hug when he was unconscious? That's how little I had the affection that I needed. And it kind of clicked. I was like, that tiny little absolute nothing moment ended up being the best thing in my marriage that week. And that incident is what made me start kind of taking inventory of my relationship and taking a really hard look at it and realizing all the holes that were in my marriage. Okay, calm down. I did not divorce him because of the hug. It was years after that we ended up getting divorced. But it was just one of those things that kind of started getting my brain thinking. We all kind of have those domino moments, don't we? Where something happens that makes us start thinking about all these other things that we need to be thinking about. Like you've woken up and you can now actually see your relationship for what it is. Anyways, it's such a random moment, but I've never forgotten that feeling. And it's different for everyone. Everyone has one of those first aha moments, and it's usually something really small. So if you're watching this, this is your reminder to go and hug and kiss your partner and tell them how much you love them. Okay, love you, bye.
That feeling is so true. Sometimes you are so deprived of so many things that you're supposed to get in your marriage or your relationship, that when they give you something small, you magnify it because they withhold affection, they withhold words of affirmation, they withhold a lot of things from you, right? So that is also, in my humble opinion, I believe that's a manipulative tactic. That is something to keep you down, right? So when they throw something at you, that little hug, whether he meant it or not, he was sleeping, whatever, yeah, it feels like, wow, he loves me so much, but that's not it. He doesn't care.
My story is gonna sound unbelievable. Trust me, I also didn't believe it when it happened, but it happened. But we move. So now I knew the relationship was over when Mugai forgot to block me from seeing his WhatsApp statuses, and then he posted pictures of his wedding. his wedding to his girlfriend of 10 years.
So you knew you were in a relationship over 10 years with somebody else, but you were leading her on. Okay? And thank God that he forgot to block her. Maybe he wanted her to see it. You know? That's how some of them are. Like, they don't care. And that woman is going to be miserable in that marriage because he's going to keep cheating on her. And he will probably spin the block on this one and try to go back to her. Oh, mess. But I'm happy she found out. And I hope it's over.
When was the moment you knew your marriage was over? For me, there were lots of moments, things I didn't recognize until later. That should have been the moment. Here's the first one that should have been the moment now that I've been through all of this. We'd been married for about a year and a couple months. I was finishing up my degree to become a teacher. He was not going to school and he was not working. Should have been my first sign. And that we had just found out, I had taken a pregnancy test, that I was newly pregnant. We were excited, didn't know what was happening, like all the feelings. Well, 2 days later, I started bleeding and what ended up being a miscarriage. I ended up staying home from school that day, just a lot of emotions. I remember crying a lot and not feeling great and bleeding a lot. And I remember not having the supplies I needed to handle a miscarriage. And I had asked my then husband if he would go to the store for me and go buy me some pads. And he looked at me and he was like, I can't do that. That makes me very uncomfortable. And I was like, what? We are adults. I am your wife. I just had a miscarriage and I'm asking for some help. Please? And he said no again. And he made a reference to a time back in high school when he promised himself and some friends that he would never be that guy to buy those things. And in that moment, I remember being like, But it was a flash, right? I went and I put a hat on, I put a jacket on, and I left without saying anything to him. Eyes swollen from crying, not feeling great, to go buy the supplies I'd asked him for help with. That was the moment that should have been the moment. But I lasted 11 more years, 4 kids.
Wow. So he chose a promise he made to his bros over his wife. Yeah. And he didn't care that she had miscarried and she needed his support. You know, we often hear stories about men leaving their wives the moment they get sick, like they get cancer or something like that. They bounce, they just leave them. And it's true. Because they don't care. They see you as the person who is supposed to take on all the load in the marriage or relationship, right? That's why whenever you're having troubles in the relationship and you approach them with it, they'll be like, oh, I'm fine. Everything is perfect. Because they are not suffering. You are. You are the one who is taking all the mental load, physical load, emotional load, every single aspect of it. You are taking it on. They don't care. They don't.
For me, in that day, feeling unsafe in my home, that was the moment where I realized I cannot live like this anymore. I cannot spend another day not knowing what I'm going to come home to. I knew when I would rather sit outside in the cold for 7 hours than come into the house that we paid for. This is not okay. I began to be closed off. I had walls up to protect myself inside the home. So I did the counseling. I did the therapy. I did all of the things that someone would do after they separate. By the time I packed my bag, in my mind, if I leave, I'm not coming back. And I reached that point. I think I was just in a bad situation and I needed to be away. I was technically homeless when I left. I was sleeping on a couch for a couple months. And I had more peace sleeping on that couch for a couple months than I had in years of sleeping in one of the most comfortable and expensive beds that I bought from Mattress Firm. I am not telling you all of this so that you can get a divorce. So if you feel like that's the right choice for you, be sure, because it is very, very difficult, even when it's the right choice.
And I love that she said that peace of mind over any comfort that she was used to in that marriage or relationship, because she slept on that couch and she felt safe and she was at peace and she chose that, and that is her choosing herself. And I feel like it's so powerful as women when we come to these places in our lives, especially when it comes to marriages and relationships, and when things are not going so well. Most of us make excuses, okay? We make excuses for everything. We'll be like, oh, it's gonna be okay, or I'm overthinking it, or now what is going to happen with the children? Most people use the kids as an excuse. Oh, it's because of the kids. Oh, I'm going to wait for them to grow up a bit more, and so on. And I get it. It's not easy, okay? But when the time comes for you to move, I hope you find the strength and the courage to do it. All right? For you, for yourself. That's what this message is all about.
How did you get to the point where you knew it was time for a divorce? I'm at that point. I think the very fact that you're asking, you have more insight than you know, but I'll share my perspective. It's layered. It's not just one thing, but I will say this, thanks to therapy, I learned that the marriage that I had been in for 19 years, it was unhealthy on a mental level, on a psychological level, on an emotional level. And once I start to learn what was happening, that is when I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be married anymore. And that happened in 2020. At the same time, I was turning 40. And I wrote a book titled, I Don't Want to Be Married Anymore, Finding the Courage and Where to Start, to answer more questions just like this, because when I was going through the dark of it, there was no one like me expressing and sharing and answering these types of questions, right? And in my book, it is a multimedia book, meaning there's audio, there's video, and there is sound advice at what I wish I knew in the beginning and what I have learned over time that I feel like every single woman needs to know if she's preparing to separate and preparing to get a divorce. You can find it by clicking the link in my profile, and it will take you to my website, freedomisthelifestyle.com. And I appreciate you for asking me this question, and trust and know that there are so many women that are in your space that feel the exact same way, and they're trying to navigate it all. And for me, I met my ex when I was 17. We started dating at 18. Was together for 25 years, married for 19, and I've been divorced for a year and a half. And it was one of the best decisions that I could have made for myself. And so I encourage you to get my resource to support you. Make sure you click the follow button, because we talk a lot about divorce when I go live every morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we talk about a lot of things like getting to know yourself, open nesting, but I'm just pointing that out. And you need community. More than ever right now, you need a therapist and you need community. So if this resonated with you, go ahead and click the save button, repost it so someone else can be encouraged.
This is just to encourage someone, just like she said, okay? Just so you know that you're not alone. I know the holiday season is just around the corner, and that is the time of year where most married women or women in relationships go through it, all right? That's when they realize that they have been alone in that marriage for all these years, okay? When he forgets to buy them presents, when he forgets to fill the stockings, when he expects you to buy gifts for his family, take care of the kids, come up with menus, cook, and do everything around the holiday season, while he just sits there and puts his feet up and enjoy himself, all right? That's when a lot of women realize what it actually means to be married to some of these men. So yeah, if you have come to that place, or you are almost there and you are wondering how this is going to go, or maybe fear is holding you, but just know that you're not alone. All right? It's better to be at peace and living on your own terms than be in a miserable relationship or marriage where you're not valued, appreciated, or treated with care and love, if you know what I mean. But anyway, I'm going to leave it here. Leave your own thoughts and opinions in the comment section, and I'll see you again with another video. Take care of yourselves. Bye.